Shalom, family. So, in today's video, we're going to be breaking down anti-inflammatory herbs. That's a question I get all the time. And you know me. You know that I'm never going to just give you quick answers. I'm a holistic practitioner. So, I don't use broad generalization, categories, or any of that to explain herbs. So, instead, we're going to be breaking down the unique ways in which some of these anti-inflammatory herbs work in the body. So first, what is inflammation? Inflammation is a condition where the organs or tissues become inflamed or they become enlarged. So this can look like swelling with maybe redness or irritation as well. So it's important to understand that inflammation in itself is not bad. It's a natural process. It's triggered by our immune system, which is very important, and it helps our body actually to heal. So if you are dealing with excess, there are a variety of different herbs that can help to, soothe or alleviate inflammation in the body, or what we say modulate as herbalists. So let's talk about how these work. So let's do a pause for a second. If you've ever decided to try a herb and you said it didn't work, it probably was user error. And I know that that's harsh, but I just want to point it out that herbs are something that you need to actually have knowledge and practice to be able to understand and do it properly. And so you don't just take up a new sport and expect right away to be professional level. And so, but people expect for herbs to be that easy. So if you are doing average things, you can expect, the average result. Or if you want extraordinary results, you're going to have to do something that's more than ordinary. So you can't just be watching random YouTube videos and thinking that, you're an herbalist and now you know how to formulate and all that. No, that takes practice, that takes skill, that takes knowledge. And if you want more than the surface level, you're going to have to also study more than, what YouTube land will give you. So I want to put that out there first. And that's why I always say that these categories don't work. So you need to understand where something is occurring in the body. You need to know why and how it's happening so that you can understand what then you need to use. But we always want to go with the what first. So I want to put this out there to explain why I teach the way that I do. Because I've gotten comments where people are like, just get to it, you talking too much. And no, I'm talking and saying the things that new herbalists need to hear and that I wish that I would have heard. So I want you guys to hear this first to understand why my videos may take a little bit longer to get to the herbs and why I focus more on the technique more than the herbs as well, because that part of it is more important than the herbs. If you have that, you can understand all of the different herbs. So that's why I teach and explain the way that I do. And I want to put that out there so that people can understand why there's a method to the way that I teach. There's a method behind it. So as I talked about, all the herbs work in different ways. And so when we're talking about inflammation, they work differently too. We have some herbs that are cooling and that can help to bring down that inflammation. And others actually modulate the inflammatory response in the body. So let's break it down a little bit more. So let's talk about some of the herbs with the cooling properties. These are known to be able to reduce the heat and calm down the inflammation. So that's what cooling does. So peppermint, it contains menthol, which you may know, and it gives a cooling effect on the body. And so you can apply this topically, or even when you drink peppermint, or you eat peppermint, you feel that. And so it can actually help relieve inflamed joints, muscle aches, things like that. You have others like chamomile, and chamomile is actually calming, which is important, but it has anti-inflammatory compounds within it. So inside the yellow and white chamomile, you have a blue chemical called azulene, and it's actually used for the skin, usually for its anti-inflammatory properties. Another example is aloe. So aloe, that's a succulent plant, and you put it on your skin for skin burn or sunburns, anything like that. So it actually is very cooling whenever the body needs relief from any kind of irritation on the skin. Okay, so let's go on now to herbs that actually can modulate inflammation. So one that's very popular, turmeric. So turmeric is known for this, and it actually has a compound in it, and it's called curcumin. And curcumin has been studied for the anti-inflammatory properties. And now the way that it does this, though, is that it actually regulates the immune response in the body, and it actually reduces the production of some of the anti-inflammatory molecules that we have. And so that's why using turmeric and then also using black pepper to also boost the curcumin is really important. So we need to understand where the illness is occurring, why it's happening, and then that's how you know what you want to choose in that instance. So we talked about the immune response a little bit earlier, so I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. So when there's actually damage to the tissues in our body, our brain actually will send out these different chemicals. One of them is histamine, and histamine is actually directly correlated to our response to allergies. So another plant, nettle, is known to be anti-inflammatory, but it has this effect on the levels of histamine. So it actually is used for people who have an over heightened allergic response to different things, and it helps to kind of modulate that, and that will just be to balance it. That's the word that we usually want to use more than anti-inflammatory, because it doesn't really tell you what it's doing or how it's working. And then, so for the last thing that I want to also show, another way, we know about aspirin, and we know that it's an NSAID, so non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. And so aspirin actually has salicylic acid, which is found naturally in plants. But this acid is known to reduce inflammation. It's a natural blood thinner, and it also works to lessen fevers. And so as herbalists, we use a natural source. And so some of our plants, like willow bark and other salicylic containing plants, can be used in place of where the NSAIDs are found to be useful, and we can sometimes use them instead. Now, because the concentration of salicylic acid is different when you just take in the one compound out of the plant and you have the plant with all of these different chemicals, it may be a little bit, it's a different in the dosaging, definitely, because you're getting much more when you just having that salicylic acid isolated. But you're also going to have much more side effects, because in plants or in the different foods that we eat, we have all these different chemicals that can kind of counteract some of the negative responses. But when you just have one thing isolated, like as I say, moderation is key. So when you just have one thing, you have much more side effects, where you can have stomach problems and different things like that. And so with using our natural plants in place of some of the times when you would see those remedies would be effective, it may be a natural transition to want to use some of those plants that have the natural source, but also understanding that the dosage is going to be much different. And so instead of just taking an aspirin and it goes right away, it would be more of a protocol where you're using things, periodically over a longer period of time. And of course, being holistic and addressing what the root cause of the issue is, so that it's not just, popping an aspirin or popping some willow bark or whatever like that, and just whatever it pops up, you actually addressing it so it doesn't keep reoccurring and it doesn't become a bigger issue for you as well. Because a lot of times we think that the symptom is just coming back and like it's not getting worse, it's not progressing. They don't think of it in that way. But this is just signals, and your body is kind of giving you warnings to, okay, address this, or else something else is going to happen as well. So I hope that this gives you a little bit of insight on the different anti-inflammatory herbs as we have. So if you ask me that question, hopefully this will help you be able to make informed decisions whenever you are looking to address the inflammation in your body. Of course, first you want to know what's causing it, and then you can tailor your response based on that, based on the response that you get when you ask these deeper questions, and find the remedy that's going to resonate with you on a deep level. Okay, so if you found it helpful, let me know down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.